clapping on a Thursday night. I really do. Welcome back to More Up North. I'm Shannon Moore, and our panel, which I'm really thrilled is here, you know, they're the ones that are supposed to tell us what happened this week. I know. We'll see what they say. John Bitney is here. He's a longtime former friend of Sarah Palin and was her first legislative director. He was fired in July 2007 and last session worked with House Majority Caucus in Juneau. During the primary, he directed Senator Lisa Murkowski's campaign. Please say hello to John Bitney. And he's an independent commentator and regular columnist for the Anchorage Daily News, which is a newspaper here. You may have read it. He's also the host of Anchorage Edition and can be seen every election cycle, and I have no idea how he doesn't just call BS or start laughing at certain points. He moderates Running, which is the debates. Please welcome Michael Carey. And revisiting his old stomping grounds here, the regular commentator on KTUU Channel 2. For decades, he owned the famous and legendary Fly-By-Night Club. Say hello and welcome to the king of spam, to his old stomping grounds, Mr. Whitekeys.
The Pope does that.
Yeah. That's nice, isn't it?
I've always liked that.
Nobody throw your underwear, please. This isn't, you know, this is a different kind of show. This is a family show. Not really. So, what a crazy week. First question, I brought it up in introducing you. Michael Carey, how, and you may just answer this like I'm a professional, but please, how do you just not go, you're joking, right, during the debates? When you've got some...
You're talking about running in the primary when alternative candidates are running. When
the alternative candidates are running and they bring up things like the dividend check and talk about their first wife and second wife getting it and the Simpsons movie and how that applies. I mean, how do you, seriously, I would just be like, really? Are you not taking your medicine? Go away. Nobody's voting for you. Like, I would have to save democracy at that point.
When I was very young, I wanted to be a major league ball player. And, you know, you learn in Major League Ball that when the manager says bunt, you bunt. That's what I did. My job is there to allow people to explain how the universe works, and I allow them to do that. I mean, my job is they are presenting themselves to the public, and sometimes members of the public think they're a little strange, but that's what they're there for. And I'm there to ask them, what color is the backside of the moon, or whatever it is?
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously, all my admiration to you, because I would just be...
Well, and the other part of it is, in more seriousness, anybody who appears on television, who runs for office, pays their $100, I try to be respectful to them, and so is the station. They are there for whatever reason they're there, but we try to respect their presence as a person.
Well, I think that's very admirable, and I've noticed Running's never asked me to host any of that, and there might be a reason. Probably a really good one. So, Mr. Whitekeys, you're back here, and for years and years at the Fly-By-Night Club, you mocked openly politicians in this state. How much more is there now than there was then? I mean, would you really even have to work very hard right now to just have so much fun? Do you ever just go, oh, I wish I could just handcuff a journalist for fun?
It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You know, I mean, but the thing that really happened in this election, I think that was you know, just really cool about this, was that the national media paid more attention to us this time than they have in a long time. I mean, every national media outlet was up here, and every one of them was calling our politicians incompetent, inept, bumbling rubes that couldn't make it in politics anywhere else in the country. And they were saying that like it's a bad thing. You know? It's That's the way it's always been here. It's never been any different. And you know, the real problem for me was that, you know, I mean, Sarah Palin's perfectly fine. I don't have a big problem with her, except for the fact that she's what alerted all these guys to what we do up here. We used to just be under the radar, and, you know, all this stuff happened. We knew it. It had always been that way. We didn't have to worry about it. And now all of a sudden, all these people are paying attention to us, and, you know, we just look dumber because they know about it. I mean, we were always that dumb in the first place. Our politicians have always, for 100 years, they've been that bad. But nobody knew about it until now.
Right. I mean, if they could have been here during the corrupt bastards trials, for instance, when they were talking about when they were playing tapes of Bill Allen and Pete Cott, they had and Pete Cott had mixed up the blue pill and the white pill. One was for sleeping and one was for staying up and being pleasured. And he had mixed them up, taken the wrong one, and they have this tape. I mean, sitting in the courtroom, listening to all, I mean, this would have been great fodder nationally. I mean, we are, at some point, a political reality show, don't you think?
That's why we're here.
Exactly.
So, and John, so, and a couple of people have been voted off the island now. I mean, how was it for you? You, of course, worked with Lisa Murkowski up through the primary, and then, you know, she sort of hemmed and hawed, wasn't sure if she'd get back in or not.
Right.
Then she did, and you know, right now they're counting ballots.
Well, they're going to have to read them, I guess, and hopefully they can pronounce what everybody spelled out on them.
Don't you think if people are given a piece of paper that spells it correctly, they should have to spell it correctly too? I mean, you've got an open book test. You just have to copy. You should copy it correctly.
We're going to find out. You know, it's pretty amazing that as many people as did wrote something down. So, I mean, that in and of itself is pretty incredible. Boy, this guy's a tough act to follow, isn't he?
No, it's so. What are your thoughts on this? Because from what I can tell, Sarah Palin was sort of the start of a tear in the Republican Party. You know, and there have been fissures and there have been cracks and whatever, and the Republican Party in the state's been, come on, the only people less together have been the Democrats, so they haven't had to be that glued together. But they were.
I listened to people on the radio today, you know, Democrats calling Democrats traitors because they figure some of them. That was me. And I heard,
it was a caller.
It was a caller.
It was a caller that called in and said
then listening to the other side of the dial, if you will, the same thing on the, you know, the traitors that are over. I mean, so both parties are fractured right now. The finger pointing is starting. There's been hard lines. I mean, it's amazing.
That's awesome that Lisa was able to get the Democrats to be upset at Democrats and the Republicans to be upset at Republicans. It's quite a uniter.
It's very, yes, exactly. Very Sarah Palin in some ways.
That's very Sarah Palin, and all in the name of beating down Sarah Palin.
That's the thing about irony, and but we'll read them all next week. And I mean, Joe Miller. I mean, what a story! What a phenomenon! I mean, you know, we can. I've never seen a politician invoke so much emotion. You know, whether love, hate, whatever you know.
Except for Sarah Palin.
I mean, well, but this guy drove our election here. I mean, he made the Senate race. You know, nobody even hardly knew there was a governor's race going on, and
there was a governor's race.
And Don Young got reelected.
Oh my God! No, it's totally true. Yeah. It sucked the oxygen out of the system here.
Actually, it sucked.
It did. It really did. I mean, and poor Frank Von.
I shouldn't have done that, but.
Well, no, it's true. It's true to a certain extent. So you say it sucked. Why do you say that, Michael Carey? In all seriousness.
This was the most remarkable election I've ever been associated with, and I've been here for a while. I think if you look at it, I mean, and John, I know the others would agree with me, if you looked at the election returns, write-in is in first place. I mean, you never see anything like this. Because most of the time, write-in is somebody demanding their rights, or, you know, they are, as you
or they don't have millions of dollars worth of advertising.
Write-in usually doesn't have $1.5 million, right? But this time, write-in did, and put on a remarkable campaign to assure her reelection. Write-in is a her. So we'll see what happens, but I think at this stage it would be very hard for Joe Miller to win, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I think it's remarkable how self-destructive he was. I mean, he's a smart guy, he's educated, he's Phi Beta Kappa, but he had no concept of the cocktail party aspect of politics. You work the room, you listen to other people, you don't roll the truth downhill to them. You say, hiya, fella, tell me about yourself. You don't tell him, I know everything. He did not understand this at all.
And
Well, the thing about that race that really disappointed me, I mean, you know, from an entirely different standpoint, from my standpoint, was that, you know, we had a 2/3 chance that it would turn out my way, and it did not, it looks like. I mean, it looks like Lisa has won, which robs us of the opportunity to be able to say that Mark Begich would be our senior senator. And we would have a senior senator who's only 14 years old. And we had that chance, and you know, the voters just, they blew it, you know.
maybe if people would have been putting that out, that would have.
And being 14 years old would have been a new definition of under the radar.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we talked about the money that was spent. There was more money spent here. People are exhausted from the ads. I think people were exhausted from the drama of, you know, here's Lisa and Obama sitting in a tree, and here's, you know, Scott McAdams, you know, over here. He doesn't have any experience, though, way more than Frank Murkowski had when he went. And then there's Joe Miller, and he is refusing to talk to the Alaska media, but is spooning Greta right now. You know, I mean, it was just this constant thing, and I think people were just so exhausted from hearing it on the radio, hearing it on, you know, watching it on television, every paper. There was a new drama every single day. And what do you think that does to Alaskans? It certainly didn't get more people to the polls.
Well, I've never been flipped off so much in my life. I can say that about this election.
Just kidding.
No, it's true. You know, talk to the people that were sign waving out there. I've never.
For everybody.
I've never
Except
seen.
for Scott McAdams.
The Scott McAdams people were great.
Scott McAdams people, I'm telling you, there wasn't, people weren't flipping off Scott McAdams people. He didn't go into that zone. He didn't win, but he did not go into the everybody's a bastard but me.
Well, exactly, and that really, to me, was one of the things that showed in this particular election, is when people run for office, I mean, there's something that happens. I mean, they decide to run for office, and they just go nuts, and they start only listening to people with their point of view, and they've got this whole group of people surrounding them saying, oh yeah, you've got it exactly right, and people are only hearing what they want to hear, which leads people as candidates to go farther and farther, just get totally out there and be entirely nuts. And to me, the really refreshing part about this was that Scott McAdams was the only candidate that didn't fall into that trap. I mean, he kept his composure. He just was the same guy. He was a nice guy. He was not jumping into this. And, you know, I think that was just a fabulous thing to see on his part, but there wasn't any other major candidate that avoided that.
We'll come back to that, but I completely agree with you on that. But it's too bad Alaskans didn't reward that, because what it says is the bigger the fray that you go to and the more drama and the more money you spend, the bigger you win, and that's a problem. We'll be back with more Up North and our panel in just a minute.